Hey everybody, welcome back. My name's Matthew Boyle from LanguageCardGames.com. And in today's video, I want to share with you not necessarily my top 3 tips for getting started learning a language, but some tips that are a little more unorthodox and unique to me. As always, if you're interested in what I do and you want to support what I do, don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on that little bell to receive notifications. All right, let's jump in. The first tip that I have for you is called the rolling start. I don't know if you're familiar with auto racing, but if you've ever seen an auto race, you might remember how at the beginning of the race, the pace car kind of sets the pace and orders all the cars onto the track, and they have to do several laps at a certain speed. And they have to get everybody kind of going in unison before they can start the race. I think that's a useful metaphor to consider and employ when you start to learn a language. And let me tell you about what this looks like for me, because I'm starting to learn Cantonese, or I have been for a few months. So what this means for me is that I will find some basic or introductory materials that I like. Could be a 5 or 10 or 15-minute video, but I watch it several times over days and weeks. I watch it many more times than anybody else might think is sane to do. And that just starts helping me to get that input. And I know that's something simple that I can do. Because if you watch something new every day, that's going to tax you more. And if you're just getting started, if you can tell yourself, we're going to watch that video again. We're just going to watch that video again. Okay, here we go. Let's see if you can catch a little bit more this time. If you have that kind of mentality, that can help you build momentum and break through those initial stages where you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. It's so hard to start. Well, this is a way to build momentum and help you break through those initial reservations that you have. Okay, let's go to the second one. The second one is what I call relevancy positioning. And what that means is no matter how relevant the language is to you now, find some ways to make it more relevant to you by any means you can. So what does that look like for me? Well, thankfully I'm living in a province where Cantonese is the native language of the people there. But a lot of people still use Mandarin as the common language of daily communication in schools and in business. That's a language that everybody knows how to use no matter where they've come from. So in that environment, I have to let people know that I want to speak Cantonese with them. So one thing I do to make it a little more relevant to me is at certain stores and shops where I've come to know the shopkeeper a little better, I will tell them, hey, I want to speak Cantonese with you. Whenever I come in here, can you use Cantonese with me when I check out or when I'm looking for something? And I make that a little agreement with them. There you go. It makes it more relevant to me because when I go out to shop, I know I'm going to have to use some there. Another thing that I've done to make it more relevant to me is I've found coworkers who want to study it too. And I don't necessarily try to meet them to study. That might be going a little too much too soon, right? I'm just starting out. But I make a pact that when I see them on the road, I'll try to speak a little bit with them. I'll have a little bit of an exchange in Cantonese with them before we go to English. So, consider, no matter how relevant the language is to you now, how can you make it more relevant? Where are you positioned in terms of your relevancy to this language, and could you move yourself? Not necessarily physically, although it could be physically. How could you position yourself online? Are there any groups you could join that would hold you accountable or send you notifications? This is all about your positioning with regards to relevancy. Okay, let's move to the third one, the last one. The third one is all about enrichment. And this means basically to make it fun and and get in touch with the beauty of this language in terms of art, in terms of poetry, in terms of history, culture, games, in terms of maybe movies or cartoons. Find something that you're really interested. It could be any of those things, or something, even something else. Find something that you, a medium, let's say, that you really like, and start to imbibe it. Even if you can't understand everything, that's okay. You want to get in touch with the depth and the beauty of this language and have some fun and have your inspiration fired by something. So one of the things that I like to do, of course, you know from this channel, is that I like to play card games. So I will invite some friends and some people who I know can speak Cantonese to play, for example, Language Guardians with me. And so they're having fun, they're playing the game, but I'm also getting kind of some free tutoring because they will teach and introduce me to words through the game, and I can do the same for them with English. So don't be afraid to do things that other people say, oh, that's for intermediate level people, or you're wasting your time because you're not fluent in the language yet, or you're not at a high enough level and you're not understanding enough of that for it to be worthwhile. No, throw all that out the window. Grab up those inspirational materials, go to museums, go to art installations, visit the house of famous writers and poets, and find a way to get your practice inspired and enriched. That adds a little fuel. And when you, compare that to in conjunction with this, the rolling start, that can be a very beautiful combination, right? Because with the rolling start, you're reviewing those introductory materials that everybody has to learn when they're first learning a language. You're doing those first, right? You've got that in the mix. And then this really interests and inspires you. So it's kind of nice that those two could go together. All right, so by way of review, find some basic or introductory materials that you can watch every single day on repeat for longer than anyone else thinks is sane. Number 2 is consider how you can make this language more relevant to you. And number 3, find some ways to enrich the practice and imitate the experts and the great masters of this language. Bring some of what they have into your daily practice. Number 4, well, that's up to you. Let us know in the comments section how you get started learning a language and break through those initial stages where you have every excuse in the world pouring out of your brain. All right, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you back here again next time.